Hey everyone, how's it going today? And welcome to another stimulus check update, but just kidding. But in actual sincerity, it is crazy to really believe that you guys may or may not have heard the news recently, and I know a lot of people wanted me to cover this, but essentially there is a brand new stimulus check program, as crazy as it is to believe, since we have not talked about stimulus checks in years and years now. If you guys have been here since the actual stimulus check days when we were talking all about the first, second, and third stimulus check, then huge shout out, love you guys, thank you guys so much for the support all of these years. But the idea really is that there is a brand new $5,000 DOGE stimulus check that's floating around right now that you may or may not have heard of. If you guys have not heard of, then welcome, you guys are in the right video. If you guys have heard about it, I'm going to be talking about that stimulus check program today, but also offering some of my personal insights. So even if you have already seen a video about this, hopefully there's still something simplified and original about this one that hopefully you can take away by the very end of this video. So with that being said, now I do want to state one really quick thing, is that right now at this current time, this stimulus check program is still a proposal, so it has not been approved yet. We don't know what the future is going to hold, but at this time period, at least it exists. And I think that's the most important thing about it. So in today's video, the agenda is what I really want to talk about is exploring the details to what we know currently about this stimulus check program. I want to talk about all of the details that are important, and then maybe just ending this with my own personal thoughts about it. So with that being said, let's just get right to this video. But as always, if you guys enjoy videos like this, like, comment, subscribe, feel free to leave any comments down below at any time, maybe about what you think about this stimulus check program, whether you think it's going to be approved, it's not, if you support the checks in general, if you don't support this check program in general, and really honestly just any thoughts. Would love to hear from you guys. So that being said, like, comment, subscribe, and let's get started. So maybe to start by talking a little bit about the background story about how this stimulus check even came to be, because obviously there has to be some story behind it, the fact that it's, we're starting to hear so much news about it in the media. But the idea really is that there is a man named James Fishback, and it really started with him. And the story is that he posted a tweet on Twitter/X about announcing that President Trump and Elon Musk should essentially create a DOGE Dividends tax refund stimulus check program where he will be essentially, or they, so specifically Trump and Musk, should be using some of the money from DOGE, which stands for the Department of Government Efficiency, so DOGE. And it was essentially an organization created to help our government save money. But if you cancel out and save a lot of the money from trying to prevent things such as like fraud, canceling inefficient spending, and trying to really be able to allocate your resources efficiently, what they found out is that it's very possible to essentially allocate about 20% of that money that you're currently saving from the DOGE program or from the work that DOGE is currently doing, and essentially use that money to give it back to the people in order to do this stimulus check program. Now, how much money and where does this actually specifically come from right now is that a lot of the money that we could be saving from not being, or from efficiently spending our money and not wasting our money on wasteful spending, that is the money and where we are going to be able to get that money from to fund this stimulus check program. Now, they've calculated, if you want a specific number of how much money it's going to potentially take or how much money they currently have saved, is that they calculate they currently have about $55 billion saved that they can use to allocate to this program. Now, a few things that they are still trying to figure out is really about the qualifications and also about the dollar amount. Currently at this time period, the proposal is that they want to make it $5,000, but there are a lot of people questioning whether this is possible and also whether or not there's going to be physically enough money to be able to fund such a thing. Because there's a lot of people that are saying that if you were to give that many Americans that received the first, second, and third stimulus check a $5,000 check, then there might not potentially be enough money to actually have such a thing happen, so that they may have to cut down on who actually qualifies and makes it a lot more niche, or reduce reduce it and instead do something that's smaller than a $5,000 stimulus check. But of course, right now, at this current time period, the proposal stands at $5,000, and it stands at taxpayers who will potentially be getting a tax refund of this amount of money into their bank accounts. Again, keep in mind is that it's still a proposal. That's why they're still making out details about what could potentially happen, but at least it exists. And I think that's the big takeaway behind this one. Now, what is also actually interestingly super cool about this stimulus check that maybe makes it a little bit different and unique from the original first, second, third stimulus checks in 2020 and 2021 is really about the fact that unlike a lot of the past stimulus checks that we're used to, where they were essentially inking and printing out money in order to create the funds in order to do the stimulus check program, what's really unique about this DOGE stimulus check program is that they're actually going to be taking existing funds and then recycling that money in order to fund this program. In other words, the original stimulus check was funded by new money that was printed fresh in order to create that program. But this stimulus check, so the DOGE $5,000 stimulus check, this one was actually created using existing money. So it's actually old money that's simply being recycled in order to create such a program. Now, in terms of what are the things that people are saying right now in media and who are the people that support this and who are the people that oppose to this, right now at this current time, there are a lot of people that support this program. Feel free to leave your thoughts about whether or not you do or do not support this program, because while there are a lot of people that do support this program, there are also a lot of people that actually oppose this program. You know, on the supporters side, the supporters are really talking about how this program would be amazing because first off is that it would be providing a tax refund for a lot of Americans, and at the end of the day, we pay taxes into it, so we should, again, on the supporters side, we should deserve to have some of that money back. This would also be really, really great because right now, you know, with inflation and so many things happening, things are obviously very, very expensive. So by giving people this money, hopefully it can not necessarily control inflation, but at least help people to better afford things, especially those that genuinely need that money to pay for things, you know, because of how expensive. It definitely can help people with bills, necessities, and it can also help to stimulate the economy because as more people have money, they also have more money to be able to spend and inject into the economy. And if that ends up happening, it increases productivity. So this is really just some of the arguments that they're really talking about on the supporter side. Now, maybe taking a shift to the other side to talk about who are those that oppose it. The people that really oppose this program right now are actually, interestingly, a lot of economists. There are a lot of economists right now at this current time that are actually very much against doing this program because they feel that this program would be very inflationary, like we've already talked about in, you know, other past videos as well. And this one is very, very more complicated and a little bit harder to talk about because the reasoning given is that because right now at this current time, because this money is going to come from old money and not necessarily new money, what's really cool about it is that it's not going to be a program that's going to be injecting fresh money and printed money into the economy. So because of that reason, what's expected is that inflation may not skyrocket as much, at least not through this program. Inflation can still very much happen because of a lot of the other things that are happening right now, such as like tariffs, our economy, foreign affairs. But when it comes to just at least this specific DOGE stimulus check program, it's expected that the inflation may not be as bad, but again, not as bad, just still depends on how you know, what degree of inflation we're talking about, because at the end of the day, even not as bad, some inflation is still inflation at the end of the day. And the big idea is that right now the goal is to reduce inflation, you know, to either reduce it and just make it so that there's just less of it going around happening inside of our economy. So these are just some arguments that are really being proposed on the opposer side. There's also a lot of people that are talking about right now how this actual program, because it certainly stands at a proposal, may be very difficult to actually physically gain approval, because it still has to go through Congress at the very, very end of the day. So of course, we don't know what's ultimately going to end up happening, but the idea right now is that there's obviously a lot of people like James Fishback who made that tweet to begin with. James Fishback, a lot of people in the American people obviously support it. But there's also a lot of Americans and a lot of economists that are against it right now. So I'd love to personally hear your thoughts about whether or not you agree, you disagree, or maybe you don't like this program or you do like this program, and what you think. Obviously, at the end of the day, we all want money inside of our pockets, including myself. I think it would be amazing to get $5,000, but it does have an impact to things in our economy, such as like inflation, the value of the dollar. Things will be impacted. And one of the reasons we got to where we are today is because of the first, second, and third stimulus check program. There are a lot of differences, like we've just mentioned already, but at the end of the day, there are also still some similarities between what happened with the stimulus checks on the first, second, and third stimulus check, and then this current $5,000 DOGE tax refund / stimulus check program. And probably the last big difference that I think it's really, really important to kind of understand between this stimulus check and the past stimulus checks are that the past stimulus checks were given during the time period when our economy and our country was in a very, very difficult state, specifically because of the pandemic and when everything was shut down. So as a result, the first couple of stimulus checks that we saw back in 2020 and 2021, in a lot of ways actually acted as survival checks, because they were things that people needed to survive and get through life because of how difficult it was that there was just no jobs going around. Obviously, in 2025, if you've been following this channel for a while, or if you haven't, maybe if you're brand new here, consider subscribing if you got this far in the video. It is greatly appreciated, but you guys can decide. But the idea is that the difference is that right now, because our economy is still really, really rough, at least in my opinion, and I think that's the original part of this video. I still feel that the economy is rough in my personal opinion, but it's still not as crazy as the extent that of what we had to experience in 2020 and 21 when everything was truly shut down. Things still suck right now. Right now we are seeing things like inflation. It's a very horrible job market, but at least things are moving compared to 2020 and 2021 when things were truly just almost dead and still, basically, during that time period. So that's one of the biggest difference, is that this stimulus check right now is given a little bit more as a gift to help stimulate the economy, but also to taxpayers, and specifically a lot of the middle class, as a gift to them because they pay so much in taxes that they want to give some of that money back. So that's one of the biggest differences, is that one was more of a survival check, one is more of like a gift as for, helping to pay taxes for all these years. But of course, we are still waiting for more information, so we just have to see what ultimately unravels and unfolds in the next couple of days or even weeks. If you guys really enjoyed that video, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, stay safe, stay well, like, comment, subscribe. As we get more information, we'll definitely be sure to share them out on our channel. And with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, stay safe, stay well, and hope to see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much again.